Hello everybody, and welcome to FireButton's Best Games of 2015. I'm Steve, and before we go through the list, I thought I'd let you know the few ground rules we set ourselves for this. The games had to have been released in 2015, which means no beta games, no Steam Early Access games, no demos, no trials. You get the idea. We also had to make sure that we had at least played the game. We did give ourselves some wriggle room and it hadn't had to have been recorded for FireButton as a separate video, however. One last caveat, no DLCs, expansions, anything of a similar kind of just ancillary extra nature would not be included as a part of this list. With those rules in mind, let's get started with number 10. 10.
Making games is hard, so Nintendo wrapping a level editor up in a user-friendly interface that even a child could use should make this a top 3 game, but the results aren't so good. If Mario levels were as bad as some of these back in the day, Nintendo would still be a playing card manufacturer. Best idea ever, in theory.
9.
It's no secret that Dragon Ball Z fighting games have been on their ups and downs. Xenoverse brings it back to form. The team battle system is amazingly implemented. Combat system, while it does have its quirks, it brings the feeling of the series to life, and being able to go through the timelines in such a unique way really adds to the overall package.
Though if there's a sequel, less random number game shit please, because seriously, I do not want to do the same quest 14 times just to get the final flash.
Also shout out to Bandai for the fan service by including Team 4 Star's Curtis Arnott as one of the voices for the create your own character.
8.
It's got the touch, it's got the power, it's got Platinum Games' trademark action gameplay. Looking every bit like the 80s cartoon series, Transformers is pretty devastating. It's more than meets the eye too, with a great soundtrack and some replay value. And you can be Grimlock, a robot T-Rex that wrestles things. Awesome.
7. Metroid is great, right? Right. Axiom Verge is a love letter to all things Metroid, with its own unique spin and a badass soundtrack. It's got interesting and challenging combat, an eye-blistering array of weapons, and some inspired tools to traverse the world map, like the Morph Ball standard. That being said, the environments can get a bit samey and backtracking can be a bit of a pain. Glitching enemies is cool as fuck though. 6.
So I'll be honest, I was late getting into Mortal Kombat, but when I was into it, I was balls deep into it. The fighting system is brilliant, and the way the moves are executed, fair enough they should have been killed 3 times in the X-rays, but we can move on. Also, it's really fucking easy to rip someone's limbs off. That being said, the issues at launch and that fucking Sky Temple stage killing our PCs, the game did have its fair share of issues. And as cool as the guest characters are, there was maybe a bit of an over-reliance on them. Also expect to see this on next year's list when it becomes AVP and Chums. Anything to add, Steve?
It's alright. 5.
Strange as it is, going to prison was never so much fun, and naming all the characters after friends and family helps. Especially when you shank the bastards in the shower and nick their soap to make a key, just like real life.
Four.
War never changes. Fallout 4, on the other hand, has quite a fair bit since its last incarnation. It's come along in graphics, content, and just visually and gameplay-wise. There's a lot more you can do, a lot more you can play with, and it's just generally fun to wander around the wasteland with a dog and shoot people in the face after being sarcastic to them. It's worth its own weight in adhesive.
3. After Ground Zeroes, this could have very well been a dud. Turns out actually it was pretty good though. What we were expecting was an over-the-top melodrama with espionage, intrigue and violence. What we ended up with was a balloon-fueled trip through Afghanistan and Africa listening to Take On Me. You don't even need to follow the main story if you don't want to. You can just look around the world map, stealing everyone's stuff, being all commando 80s action hero and stuff. Hell, bring in a fucking robot tank if you want. Just make sure to steal everything, that's important. With balloons. 2.
So everyone loves a roguelike Zelda. If there's one thing that proved that, it's The Binding of Isaac. But that was 2011, so fuck it, get with the times, man. Crypt of the Necrodancer takes a lot of cues from this, but it incorporates the unique aspect of rhythm-based gameplay.
The game also has its own strategic element, and you have to plan your moves towards the beat. The enemies move when you do, and they don't miss a beat. You fuck up, they'll hammer you.
You also may have noticed that we here at FireButton love a good soundtrack, and the turn-based real-time gameplay is really complemented by not one, not two, but 3 amazing soundtracks. There's Danny B's original, an EDM version by A-Rival, and for those of you that like your rock and metal music, there's a version by Family Jewels 7X.
Some honourable mentions that didn't make it onto the list. The Five Nights at Freddy's games, though it started in 2014 and only released Five Nights 3 and 4 this year, we feel that it deserves a mention on the list anyway because we think it's done really well to sort of keep the hype train going for like a year. So, you know, well done Five Nights. As for Undertale, Star Wars Battlefront and Splatoon, well, we haven't played those so we can't really comment. Sorry.
For those of you new to the channel, this may seem a bit surprising, but anyone that's followed us for quite a while, you know exactly what was coming. We have lost count of the moments we've had while playing this game. Between me, Spike and Steve, we've sunk so many hours into this thing. Iron Bread is a masterpiece. One loaf of bread, one guy having a mental breakdown, send the guy to Nigel.
Needless to say, we've had plenty of wacky adventures with this game. If it's not flying a pan across the living room, it's footballs teleporting us into the corner and smashing a shitload of chairs over. Then there's blowing up a petrol station and fighting Rye fighters in space against an evil ironing board.
So it's safe to say that in the FireButton studios, breakfast is never a dull time.
It was kind of inevitable really. We did follow this game straight from early access all the way through to its release, and while it was in development in 2014, it was officially released in 2015, which puts it straight at the top of our 2015 best of list.
This would have been a high-ranking contender anyway, but the amount of mini-games and add-ons and crossovers that have been put into it for nothing, absolutely free, more games should be like this.
That was it. The roundup of FireButton's top 10 games of 2015.
Naturally, you agree with everything we just said, but on the off chance that you don't, for whatever reason, I don't know, feel free to let us know.
So it's safe to say that 2015 was pretty good for some video games, right? Well, let's hope that 2016 is even better. See you then, guys. Bye!